Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the the Boba Fett review, the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 6. I need a cigarette trash now. I don't support smoking. It's just that expression of man. It feels good to be a Star Wars fan tonight, and I'm joined by...
The Marshal, Kirklin Patzer.
Mm-hmm.
I am the Hello There, Taylor Field.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have lots of stuff going on. As we just announced this past week that GeekVerse is officially a small business. We just did a newscast. Go back the cast before. We just did a bunch of announcements and conversations and talk about news, and that's good. And throughout, we got tons of stuff. Peacemaker, newscast, other reviews, lots of things. Taylor, where can they find all this goodness? And where can they find us next week when we drop that finale, you know?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us via Internet Connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on the Patreon. Let's talk Boba Fett.
I don't like you taking Scott's thing because I need time to promote.
I'm not taking. I'm inspired by it and running with it.
Yes,
It's
everything you need to know is down below. Where to watch us, where to find us, where to support us. The biggest thing I will support, Manscaped, 20% off, free shipping. Our code's on there. The biggest thing is Patreon. A big shout out. We've had a couple people up their tiers or join Patreon because of Town Hall. Don't have to do that, but we really appreciate it. Lots of people saying, hey, we really like what you're doing. So go listen to Town Hall. And that means the world because we've said the more we can make, the more content that we produce is because of you guys and how you fund us. Plus, you get ad-free exclusive early episodes. So everything's down there. The chat is lit up. I'm very excited. So I'm going to let Kirklin Patzer go first. What did you think about Boba Fett Episode 6? Yes.
Spicy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess this is spoiler-free. I thought this was a really good episode. I thought it was a good continuation from last week. I wasn't on that review. If you checked out that one, I thought that was the best episode in the series so far. And funny enough, it didn't have Boba. And, Fanboy Clay with the comment. I don't really know if it's a spoiler. I don't really care. The book of that one dude that is never in the show anymore. He says it's like a bad thing. Like, come on.
Yeah, good. Get him out of here. Fuck him,
I'm really, really liking where we're going. I won't say it's details or anything, but I feel like I'm really back in like Star Wars world, and that's not just because of a certain I don't know thing of Star Wars being back in Star Wars, but just that's my political avoiding the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there was just a lot of different layers of the Star Wars universe like shown in this episode. It was really, really entertaining, really fun, and I don't want to say too much. So all in all, I really, really like this episode, and it really has me excited for next week. And yeah, the show has kind of surprised me because after the first few, I really had my expectations just at a level where I didn't think we were really going to surpass. And now that we're getting close to the end, it's definitely going that route. So that's really nice. So yeah, I'll pass it over to you guys.
I'll go next because I'll leave Taylor last. And everybody in the chat, we'll address some of your comments because obviously it's going a little faster, so we will take that time. Lots of them are probably a bit more spoiler-wise and whatnot. But you know what? Derby Gaming, I got to shut him out because he did say something. I almost put him in timeout. What did I just watch? A masterpiece. That's what. And all I can say is non-spoilers is people know I have my problems with Star Wars. There's some good moments. There's some bad moments. I think when it's really bad, it's really bad. But when it's good... man, is it fucking good. And the magic Star Wars can create is up there with any franchise, if not better. And this had that. This is just everything you could look for in a Star Wars episode. I am going to be curious to talk to Kirklin in the spoilers because there's some things that he has not, like, luckily... I am, not to sound bad, a bit more educated on Star Wars than him just because of some sort of... No, but I'm interested to get his thoughts, but this just feels like such a rewarding experience. And yeah, I think there is a conversation, I don't know if we'll have tonight, about this is, maybe my spoiler, but another episode that's very severely lacking Boba. For me, that's not a con because I was not enjoying the Boba Fett show. I'm very much enjoying the whatever show we got right now. And I think this is one of these episodes that one just knocks out of the park. Lots of great reveals, lots of great just moments. I think they all make sense. There's some fan service in there, but I think they do it very well. This is the right type of fan service. It all serves a story. I think this is one of these episodes where we're going to look back and go, man, this was a game changer, and this set up a lot of things down the road. And I think this was an absolute home run. This is how good I could say it is. This might be the best Disney Star Wars that's ever been. And I'm somebody that absolutely fucking loves Force Awakens. I think that is top tier Star Wars. I know people say it's a cover song, but I could go for days and days of why. Sure, it's a cover song. It has echoes, but why it's so special and the new characters they introduce. This, my goodness.
Fuck. Lazy Lico, you got me good with that. Oh, shit.
Oh, Lazy Lico. I think it's the first time you're in the chat. And we're going to shut you out in spoilers because, man, that was good. I was like, fuck, what did I miss? But this might be my favorite Star Wars Disney thing ever. This was just magnificent. I was tearing up multiple times. I was emotional. This is just one of those episodes that we would have been sitting around a few years ago. Like, man, wouldn't it be great if they did this? Wouldn't it be great if they did this? And me always just saying, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do this. And they just did it, and they did it so well. And I've given him a lot of shit over the years. It doesn't take away everything he's done. You know, he's had some misstumbles here and there. You know, what the fuck is his name? You're stuck with me now,
Lucas.
partner. No. Mr. Dave Filoni, who he directed this episode. And this is definitely... I want to say something, but I'll say non-spoilers. This is just an ultimate celebration of Star Wars, and man, just all around, just a huge round of applause for Lucasfilm. And to me, this is something where it's just there. This happens sometimes with the Disney Plus shows, but this felt like, man, I wish I was in a fucking theater for this episode. I wanted to hear the crowd. Like, this felt like an Endgame. This felt like a No Way Home. This felt like Force Awakens for me, where it's just like, even though I'm alone here, I'm just having the experience like, oh my God, I'm standing up, I'm fist pumping. This was phenomenal. My God, like, this is, I just cannot wait. And that's why, like, I don't know what more we're going to get in the future, but if they just have told me, hey, the next 5 years, just this pocket of Mando and Boba, and we're going to experience all this stuff, that's all I need, because there's so much stuff that they set up here. My God, just a huge round of applause. I could not be any more excited for Star Wars, and this is fantastic. So this is the last thing I'll say, non-spoilers. Everything they said that Rise of Skywalker was going to do for Star Wars, this episode did that. So, yeah, I can't wait to get into spoilers, but I got to throw it to Taylor, because Taylor before, he was pumping up. He was just, man, we're almost live. Holy shit, guys. And I said, I'm like, calm down. I feel like you're pumping up a little too much. After I've seen the episode now, I go, man, he didn't pump it up enough. Obviously, he didn't know spoilers, but you were very excited for the episode. And how did this live up to your expectations, hype, whatever? Because it was pretty high going in.
I mean, my expectations... What my predictions and expectations are like multiple different things. They're all over the map, but just going into this episode, I just felt like I couldn't keep up. It was a consistent ride going down the highway, doing double the speed, triple, quadruple, and it was just mind-bogglingly awesome. There were some great callbacks, some great foreshadows, some great development, and some characters, unexpected characters and stuff like that just really further this story along. If anyone were to come out and say, oh, just another filler episode, kind of like last week, I'd be like, no, you shut the fuck up. This is Star Wars. I will defend this, and Travis, I will stand with you. This is, like, I put Rogue One high up there. I put a lot of the other Star Wars content up there, but this is definitely, like, this, since Disney bought Star Wars, this is Star Wars. This had so many elements, just pulling things in. I was just like flabbergasted. Something would just pop up on screen. I'd be like, what the hell? Like, I can't believe this is actually happening. Like, and like, oh wow, I should have thought of this, or I should have thought of that. Like, oh, I can't believe it. But like, it's great how Filoni and the whole Disney crew and Lucasfilm was able to just kind of compile these surprises and still catch people off guard, even when people think they've got this figured out. I'm just dumbfounded how incredible that they've actually turned this episode, like what they turned it into. I'm at a loss for words. It's amazing.
And by the way, people, the person that's told Taylor this episode was filler and he said "fuck you," that was his own mom. So that's how much he loves this episode. You
She's
know,
not
but
speaking to me anymore.
no, but you can replace her with this show. But anything else? Because I see the chat chomping a bit. I know we are. Anything else we want to get into non-spoiler wise?
It just the episode had like a really great score overall. It had some
Yes.
great elements in it, and there were moments with a nice like just build up and tension. It was just
Lots of
fantastic.
callbacks, which I don't mind. It was all done right and everything like that. So, yeah. All I would say, if you're listening to this, because I know sometimes people, hey, they can't till work or they gotta wait till later on the night. All I will say is, if you're listening to this just to hear our thoughts, stay off social media, stay off the Facebook. I know people love that sort of shit. Don't be that guy that complains, oh, I went on there and saw something. You don't want to. If you love Star Wars, even if you just like Star Wars, you don't want to be spoiled in this one. So we're going to take our first ad break, and then we're going to be right back, and we're going to get into the juice because, man, we got a lot of juice to squeeze out of this orange, so we'll be right back. And we are back. So I feel like, there's so much that happened here. I feel like we got to kind of maybe do it. I don't know. Do we do from the beginning? Do we do it in sections? Because I feel like there's clear, there's like the Carl Vance of it all, which we'll get into. There's like the Mando of it all. And then there's like the, I'm going to say this, last chance. There's the Luke and Grogu of it all. And all of them have like huge, substantial things I want to talk about. But Taylor, I'll let you decide because you're the biggest Star Wars guys of all. Like, how should we tackle this? Because this feels like a 2-hour movie and it was only 46 minutes. There's so much canon, Taylor.
So much canon. I gotta just we gotta start with Cad Bane. We gotta go
Boom.
for
Let's
it.
do
It's
it.
gotta be. So Kirklin, you don't know who this guy is.
I was like, who the fuck is this weird blue dude?
I want to know. Your
I
thoughts.
recognized him just as his character. Obviously, like I haven't seen all of Clone Wars or anything like that, but after you say his name, I can put the name to the image now. But no, I don't have any experience with him like in the show or anything. So it's really exciting, even just for me, like knowing that this character that was in Clone Wars is appearing now live action, and I can only imagine what it's like for the people that have actually seen it and they really like that content. So go off, please.
Fracture Wolf saying he something happened in his pants when he popped on screen. That's I think that happened for a lot of people. Yeah, Taylor, you've been somebody that's been a big Cad Bane fan for a while. We've talked about this since Mandalorian I think premiered as far as like a show about a bounty hunter. Obviously, that's not what Mando is, but when we were even just hearing the conception of it, it's like, okay, second you hear bounty hunter, you start to think of a few things, and everyone's like, okay, do we ever get Boba? You check that off. And I feel like once Boba Fett was checked off, all the canon boys were like, okay, canon boys and girls were like, when do we get Cad Bane? Because he is an ultimate like Clone Wars favorite. And I have to say before you go, his look, he looks phenomenal. Because I always worried when we talk about him being live action, I'm like, man, how are they going to do it? I know it's a multi-billion-dollar company, but still, like, he's a different looking type of alien. And I just worried, like, you could make him look cheesy. No, the thing is, he looked good and he looked fucking scary. Like, he looked perfection. It's the same way, like, when we saw Falcon get his Captain America suit in the finale. Like, look at this. It looks literally ripped from the comic books. This was Cad Bane, where it's like, his presence is scary. Because I feel like the good thing they did is, even if you don't know who he is right away, he looks badass, so he has the Star Wars thing, and he comes off scary. So it's like, you'd want to know more. So they just knocked out of the park with the effects on Cad Bane. I was floored.
So, yeah, me and Cad Bane, we go way back. Like Clone Wars, those first couple of seasons when he made his debut. Like, we're dealing with a bounty hunter that was employed by Darth Sidious, Count Dooku. Like, he has done the rounds. He is like the realest of the real bounty hunters out there. And the thing that irked me was like, okay, like I was again predicting, okay, he's gonna be in this episode. He's gonna be in this episode. But I thought to myself this whole time, he's going to be joining Boba and he's going to be working with the crew and everything. And then when it clicked in the story dynamic here, like, oh shit, no, his whole narrative is he's a bounty hunter, but he's always a bounty hunter hired by the bad guys as opposed to bounty hunters hired by the good guys. Exactly. Yeah. So when the Pikes have hired him, thinking, oh, this totally fits with his character and just kind of his whole general narrative. So when the wind chimes went again, I'm always checking the timestamps. I'm like, oh shit, it's getting that sun's getting real low. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cad Bane's coming in now, and finally we get to the point where it was just such a quick transition that Mando flies off, and then the wind chimes start going. I'm like, this is an interesting transition here. What's going on? And then he like looks out, and you just see that slow burn of just him walking. I'm like, oh, like what is that? I'm trying to like pop my eyes open more and like hone in and like squint. Like I'm trying to see what's going on, and then like you see the hat. You see like the things coming off his back a little bit. You see the trench coat. I'm like, oh no. I'm yelping. Madison's probably fucking getting mad at me. I couldn't
Sasquatch calls.
Yeah, Sasquatch calls at fucking 1 a.m. I was out of my chair. Hands were on the head. I was so livid. And then again, it just goes back to Cobb Vanth. He's like, oh, everyone get inside, get inside. And then it goes back and he's getting closer. He's getting closer. And finally, you don't see his face. But the look, Travis, you said it. The look was so good. Yeah. And I was just waiting for him to speak. He starts talking, the voice. Oh, I love the voice. And just that brim of his hat just coming down where you can't see it. Finally, it's just like honed in. When he looks up, his eyes look so good. His teeth, like just the whole...
His teeth, oh yeah. You don't want to fuck with this guy.
No, his whole facial appearance was just so landed. And I was so... freaked out. How are they going to do it? I hope they don't like CGI it or anything like that, because that was a worry of mine. But no, he looked great.
Well, he's definitely CGI at some point.
At some points, yeah. But
yeah,
but no,
they didn't find
like
a guy that looks like Cad Bane.
No, the eyes were definitely CGI'd there a bit. But like when it goes into that standoff mode, I thought, okay, I'll be super pissed if they do execute him here. And I say that because there is a one Clone Wars episode where it was scrapped when Disney bought them and she canceled the show and everything, but it is an actual edited to a degree episode you could watch, just unfinished, where Boba Fett actually kills Cad Bane. And I'm actually wondering, because that's how Boba Fett gets the dent on his helmet. Yeah. So again, that's not canon. That was an episode that they were trying to do. But I'm wondering, okay, any point after that, I thought to myself, Cad Bane could die. But we got him in Bad Batch. We've got him appearing prominently elsewhere. So now I'm thinking, okay, if he were to die, it could happen here, and I'd be super crushed. But it didn't happen. And we'll get into that discussion as we progress here. But I am thinking that we might see him meet his end by Boba Fett. So... it's a suspicion.
I was gonna say, like you were talking about, like Fracture Wolf said, shout out to the slow burn. I absolutely love that. The second the wind chimes happen, I'm like, okay, I think we're getting Cad Bane right here, just because. And the whole thing, that was Western 101. Everything from the shots to the feel to the cinematography to the hat down the eyes. And usually in Western, the guy just looks up, you just see his eyes. But this is like, oh shit, this is like some, so like many times this Mandalorian specifically has felt like a weapon. So it's great that this, like, really have these two gun shooters, stuff like that. I thought Carl Vance might eat it, to be honest. And I actually didn't care at that moment because I love Timothy Oliphant. He's very underrated. But I was like, hey, I don't care if he goes. I don't think that if he does meet his end, it could be by Boba, but I don't think it's this season. I think that they've shown, like with Ahsoka, with other people they've brought in, they know that there's potential with these characters outside in live action. So sure, if you want to take the bet, like Boba could kill him, yeah, that could be down the line. But I don't think you do this big intro and then boom, you cut out from the legs. I think they want to play with these toys. There's a reason they introduced him here. I feel like he would have just died in animation. I still always say that I feel like it was a huge mistake that they killed Darth Maul, because now we're in this world where we're getting all these fucking people in live action in this timeline, and man, it would have been cool if Darth Maul was around the timeline. But I digress. I think Cad Bane is a player, and he is around to play for a little bit, and it's just so great. And yeah, Clay had that line he shut out when he said, like, so obviously he shot Carl Vance. He's not gonna die. He's doing fine. He shot that fucking deputy. He's new. I loved Oliphant. He's like, he's new, and like, yeah, he sucked. What I was gonna say though is, even though they might go fight after, I know you got your hand up, but even though they might go fight after, the fact that he dropped that little line of, hey, Boba Fett worked for the Empire, that's going to start putting doubts in a lot of people's mind and question this guy. And that's the stuff that I want with the Boba Fett show. It's not just like, hey, I'm Boba Fett, I'm here to help. I want the crime syndicate world that we talked about, of like the Game of Thrones, it's a Godfather and Mafia and like stabbing each other in the back. And to me, that was a great line to set up possible conflict down the line. Taylor Fields.
I won't deny it, and I definitely hope that you're right. I'll just say that. I hope you're right. But I was gonna let it slide the first time you said it, and then you said it the second time and a third time. It's not Carl Vance. It's Cobb Vance.
Cobb Vance. What's the
You're
last
saying
name?
Carl Vance.
Carl Vance.
Carl Vance.
What is
I
it?
don't know,
Cobb.
like the actor or
Cobb
something. I'm like,
Vance.
oh, that's his
Cobb.
name. Okay.
Cobb Vance or Vanth?
Vance.
Timothy Oliphant's great, but I was
There you
fine
go.
with him dying in
Commercial.
this moment. But yeah, there you go. I'm glad you didn't. You could have. Out of all the times you guys interrupt me or make fun of me, the time where I'm going to keep pronouncing it over and over. But Cobb.
Interrupt you. You're going on.
But yeah, and it was great to have him back. I'm glad he is alive, but it's just like I again, whether it's Mando 3 or a Boba 2, I do want more of him. I know a spin-off is not likely, but anytime he's on screen, Oliphant just has that charisma. He was great in this episode. I love the back and forth with him and Mando. But yeah, Kirklin, I want to throw more to you, like, because you talked a little bit about Cad Bane. How do you feel about the introduction of this character as a guy that you've just kind of heard of him, but you don't know his story. You don't know how he's connected to a Boba Fett or some of our prequel characters, because he's tangled with Obi-Wan and like he's tangled with them all and stuff like that. And he's at one point was supposed to die, but here he is. He's made his way, just like Boba made his way out of the Sarlacc pit. You know, no one's ever really gone. You know.
Yeah, there's many characters, just like factions and stuff that was introduced in Clone Wars that I've been like semi-aware of. So it's just really cool to see them live action, especially when they look as good as this guy did. I definitely agree with everything you guys said on his look alone. It just looks so good, so intimidating. And I feel like if you just have a big blue alien with red eyes, it doesn't always come off that way. But they did a really good job at making him feel like he's in just like a Western movie. But then, oh yeah, he's an alien. This is Star Wars. And it just fit really, really well there. So just seeing... like I said, someone that I'm semi-aware with in live action and looking this good, it gets me just like hopeful that they take more characters like that, you know, and put them live action. I had similar thoughts when Ahsoka was revealed. I thought she looked really good, and it's very impressive that they can just take these Clone Wars characters and put them live action and have them looking this good. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say on him, just because I don't really know anything about him. I hope they do a good enough job at kind of explaining like some of his origins, just for the people that aren't that familiar with Clone Wars. Like I hope they make it digestible enough where you don't have to like go on the wiki or something if you haven't seen Clone Wars to just understand really the brass tacks of what this guy's all about. But yeah, it's phenomenal opening though. Like just like you guys said, that slow burn of him walking the desert. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy gonna be? And then he reveals his face. I'm like, yeah, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know.
Yeah.
To be honest, like
Thrawn,
I mean-
is that what this guy is?
yeah, there you go. Like everything that you got, like in the brief moment in this episode, that is like a strong origin point of like what you really
He's
need
just
to know
a
with this
badass.
character. Like he does have, again, spoilers for Clone Wars. There is like one arc where you get to see him kind of show a very different side of him, which was very cool to get that kind of development. But overall, like this is just him in a nutshell, and he's dropping like those facts, like you mentioned, Travis, like Boba worked for the Empire and all that jazz. So
Yeah, and that's the
Voice
thing.
was
Like,
crazy.
he's
too.
not
It was
like
really
a
good.
he's not a Dengar or a boss who is just like literally a hired gun. Like, yeah, he does have arcs where it shows like, yeah, he knows what's going on. He's a smart guy. And if the heroes probably were to pay him a high amount too, he'd probably switch sides pretty easily, you know? And I love that layout of, hey, we'll pay you what Boba Fett's offering for you just to sit here. If you don't gotta do anything, you don't even gotta fight with us. Just don't do anything. And you know, Oliphant's like, I don't know and stuff, but it is like a potential good deal, right? And obviously that deal did not go down because he got shot. And
well, that was
I-
the deputy's fault.
His fucking deputy.
That's your
Yeah,
Toro
that's
Talahan.
Oh,
like
100%.
part two.
Essentially was
that's his brother or
like-
something like that. Yeah.
I think it was
He got
actually when
bonked.
Oliphant like first showed up. I'm like, oh my god, is that Toro? how did you make it out of there? But no, luckily enough, it was
He did.
Oliphant.
He did save Oliphant's life because I mean he took like 6 shots from Payne's gun. Like he got fucking bombed.
He absorbed some bullets. He emptied the guy's clip. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, but you could make the excuse that, you know, maybe Cobb was going to get the best of him in that situation, you know? So, We'll never know. I'm sure
Well,
there'll
Cobb
be a
shot
rematch.
first though, right? Or he whipped his gun out. Or I gotta rewatch that
Deputy
scene.
was just yelling and distracting everyone. He was
Cad definitely got them both first. We'll say that. No one got a shot on Cad Bane, and I even love when he went for his holster of his gun. He had like those little fingers. Like he just looked great, and I'm excited to see more of him. I'm not expecting for it to even be next week. I just think now that he's established in the universe, you can see him pop up. Like I said, we're gonna get to it, but we just randomly remember last year how it was such a huge deal. Like, is Ahsoka in the show? A big character coming over, and now she just like appears in an episode. She's just, oh yeah, I'm another character in the show now. So that's where it's one of these things where I think he will be to that point. But do we have anything else to add on Cobb? Anything to add on Cat Bane? He had his meeting with Mando. They said that they kind of owe each other, or they don't owe each other everyone, but Mando just pretty much put out, which I think was good for the show as far as, hey, you don't have to do this. I know you guys don't want to fight, but you just don't know how worse it could get. So yeah, this isn't your battle, but it could become your battle at some point, and it might be too much for you. And this is a chance to kind of like cut it out from the knees. So I like that. I thought all the reasoning made sense, and yeah.
This
Yeah.
this fucking deputy just fondling his gun, just bouncing in his hands.
He's worse than Greedo. Never shot.
I really like the character of Cobb. I was really happy to see him appear in there. I like just seeing him be a badass and like taking out those pikes in the beginning, and that scene when he basically tells the last surviving pike to just like leave the spice, the money, and then go. And the guy's like, "Oh no, it's worth more than your town." And then he just like empties it out, just like the classic kicks all the drugs away. Just shows like what the character's about a bit. He has this opportunity just take like all this money and like actually, I don't know, do something with it, but he just doesn't even want to run the risk of that. It was a nice little moment of just fleshing out the character a little bit more, saying that he actually is a good guy. He's just a regular sheriff who got bopped by Cad Bane, but yeah.
I've got just in this whole scene a very vigorous prediction. Like if this were to come true, and maybe it's more of a guilty pleasure. The way that concluded where the Weequay bartender was just staring at Cat Bane, it's just like really I felt like, okay, is he gonna grab a gun and like shoot him from the distance? Like, what is he gonna do? I feel like there's a lot of tension here, and this is like a lot of representation in this scene. Now, how cool would it be if he's like, hey, I know a guy that we're going to get like revenge on these guys. This is not right. We need to fight. And I'm going to call up Hondo and get the whole of the boys in here. Like, I wouldn't put it past them to bring in a Hondo and Akka in here. Because, again, they're always where the credits are, too. And if they're hired guns like Bane is, I think that would be an ace in the hole. Again, just people want to see Hondo. We have a real Hondo at Galaxy's Edge. I mean, it's only a matter of time before they put that onto a living person in a show.
He's animatronic. He's not a real.
I know,
Hondo.
but they could put that on a person though.
Yeah, they
real
could.
life. Like he's a real life visual.
I think you will see Hondo. I don't think you will this season. I think they like to space those things out. Even though I know in this episode we got a boom, but I still think they like to save some things, whether that's Boba 2, whether that's Mando 3. Who knows what we're getting? But I think you could see Hondo at some point. I just feel like unless there was 8 episodes, I'd say, oh, you have time to recruit him. Maybe you could do it next week. I'm not saying it's 100% no, but. We'll see. I just want Bosk. Yeah, you'll get Bosk one day. As long as I don't get Dengar, I'm pretty happy about that. So let's take our second ad break, and then we're going to talk about the thing I want to talk about the most. We're going to talk about, looks like a little Jedi temple is being built. So we'll be right back. You got me with that comment. That threw me off. So, ladies and gentlemen, we knew last week that he was going to go see, he meaning Mandalorian, wants to go see the little guy, wants to go see Grogu, right? So the episode starts with him in his ship flying. It's like, oh my God, we're starting off hot and heavy. Now he gets there. And this is where, this is where, when I proceed to describe what happens, this to me felt like, I didn't want to say it in non-spoilers, but this felt like Endgame. This felt like No Way Home as far as, especially No Way Home, where it's like taking all the generations of Spider-Man and putting them together. That's what this show did. You have Clone Wars, you have original trilogy, you got new trilogy, you got Mando. Like, it was just a plethora of just everything done. And I know, and I'm the guy that does this all the time. I know so many people are going to be like, oh, this is just like fan service. This is just throwing stuff on the board that people want and just like, oh, hey, we took all the internet comments and put them there. This is the episode. But to me, they're giving us story moments and they're setting things up. And even as so Mando gets there, I love that they sit on the bench because I was like, oh shit, we're not actually gonna see Luke or anything, and then we get Luke and Grogu, and this is why for me, and if it's fan service too, but to me it does inform what happens to Luke down the line, and for me seeing what many other people want to see, Luke just being a master, this is phenomenal, and I have to say. That guy that they hired, whatever they paid him, sure fucking paid off. Because this Luke looks a million times better than what he was looking like in the Mando finale. I remember when we talked, and we're going to get into this, when we talked about these rumors of a Grogu and Luke show. I wonder where that's going to pop up now. But when we talked about that, I was like, you need to hire Sebastian Stan, our actor, because absolutely fucking not. We cannot have that Mando season 2 Luke going on. This guy, because apparently what happens is a guy put out a deep fake, if you know the story. Mando season 2 comes out. A guy puts out a deep fake. It looks so much better. They hired that same guy, and it was like, okay, why else would they be hiring this guy? Here's confirmation. We're going to talk about the rumors here. But there's like a few moments where it looks like, okay, it's a computer, but almost, I'd say 95%, it looked fantastic. I think the only thing that's tough, which I think they'll nail down more, is his voice. It still feels very like ADR. It doesn't feel that natural. But I can take the voice feeling a little like record booth over he looks like a fucking, PS4 character. And that's fine, but there's so much to talk about here. But Kirklin, what do you think about seeing Grogu and Luke training together? And what do you think about Luke's appearance and all this? And there's so much stuff to talk about, but just your initial thoughts.
Yeah, so absolutely lots going on there. I feel like I was kind of torn, honestly, for the majority of it because the substance of what was going on was absolutely phenomenal. It was 10 out of 10. And like again, I do agree with you. This looks a lot better than the Mando season 2 finale, but I'm still kind of getting caught up. I'm just seeing him and knowing that it's just it's a decision they went with to go this route of just CGI in it, and
it is Mark Hamill playing him technically.
Yeah.
He's on set and everything like that.
Like the look looks really good, but I think it's just the lack of voice lines or something because they're just trying to hide the voice a bit, or maybe some of the lines just really not hitting. Some of the lines feeling like, I don't think Luke really would have said this if they had like Hamill available to actually like do like a full on line or something along those lines.
Really? You didn't feel like
said
this
or
was
sounded?
Both. Like some of the lines that they were using, I felt like, okay, they're using minimal words here because they're just trying to hide the voice. And maybe I'm entirely wrong there. It just, for some reason, I was just getting caught up on a lot of like the Luke stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough though, because like I said, the substance of what was going on, it was phenomenal. You just have like a Jedi Master, which is Luke. We've never seen him in this situation before with like a Padawan, and God, it was just phenomenal. When they're like just meditating, Grogu's just being so adorable again. That's just phenomenal. That just totally lifts any show that he's a part of. But yeah, for whatever reason, I just kept getting caught up with Luke. I feel like honestly, I wish they did just an actor. Didn't try to make it Hamill 2.0. Like just have a different actor. Probably would have got a lot of flack. Might have been worse. I don't know. I'm not loving the decision. It's a decision. There's going to be people that are in my camp. There's going to be people against me. So
yeah, I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think for me, Mando season 2 is this way a little bit, but still, it's still tough. I think with this is it will be better on a rewatch because I feel the first time you see Luke, it's a uncanny valley thing, but I feel like it's a magic trick where you're always looking like, hey, how can I figure out the trick? And you're in the scene, but you're still always looking at him. Luckily this time, because I remember I had the exact opposite with Mando season 2, where the build-up was happening, and then when he took the hood off, I was out. I was like, I can't focus at all. I can't. This was the complete opposite, where I was worried. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get to Luke, and at first they're showing him from like far away, and I'm like, okay, this is smart. But then there's just some moment when they got up to him, like, this just looks like Mark Hamill in Return of the Jedi. Yeah, and that's where I will say it's tough though, right? Because we've seen both versions now. We saw they did Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and I feel for the most part, people are like, meh. didn't really like that, so they responded the other way, right? And I feel people prefer this more. I agree with it. I still wish they went the actor route, but to me, if it looks this much better, I am fine with what could happen. And I am on the other side where I did think almost everything he's saying sounds like Return of the Jedi Luke. Like, not sound like his voice, it doesn't, but I feel like what he was prophesizing, like you said, yeah, it is smaller lines, but to me, this is, I don't know, that's the biggest thing is, he's not my favorite character. That's Han, and then you got Kylo up there. But like, my favorite like Jedi is Luke Skywalker, and there was so much with the original trilogy you missed out, and I don't hate on them for that because Mark Hamill was a 6-year-old dude. You couldn't do this storyline with Mark Hamill, and I wouldn't have wanted them to do this right away. Like, oh, we're just gonna CGI Mark. I like that we got Mark actually acting stuff like this, but now when we're filling in the gaps, if this is what we get, this is fantastic. Like him being his first student, all this stuff, I was coming to like getting to tears. I was having tears, all this stuff. But like when he has like Grogu on his back, like all this stuff, it's just like, and him doing the training. It was funny when he's like, let me show you some stuff. His first jump, he like jumped off a rock and it was so small. I was like, what are we doing here? And then he started flipping. I was like, oh, thank God. But his first jump, I was like, my daughter jumps higher than this. But I loved all the content, and I felt like this era of Luke, and it even still shows some doubt, which we're going to talk about, like even to Ahsoka. How do I know if this is the right thing to do? And that's why I love where he's had these experiences. They even played like almost like a Darksider version of Grogu's theme, like just a tad little bit. And obviously this is a guy that's like, he's seen both sides. So I thought this was phenomenal. There's so much to talk about again. But Taylor, what do you thought your initial thoughts on seeing Luke again? Because again, last year's such a big deal, and now it's just, oh look, it's Luke Skywalker again. He's back in our lives. And man, anytime I see Luke, maybe it'll wear off eventually, but I get emotional. Like, oh my God, like this is Luke Skywalker. See the fucking green lightsaber in this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
I mean, getting him, I wasn't sure if we would see him in this episode or we just see Grogu. Like, what are they, if they would even have Luke talk? But more than like half of this episode, like 75% of it was Luke and Grogu, and it was absolutely just perfect. First time seeing Luke, I was like, okay, those deepfake guys are making bank. Like,
yeah,
like they were sitting at Freetown, and then here comes Disney's Cat Bane, like, I'll pay you double, like, what you're making now. Your current
feel bad
job.
for the original guy where he's like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, this is your new boss. He's gonna but no, it was amazing. The callbacks, like everything you guys said, like him just jumping around with Grogu on the back, like him just training with a lightsaber and Grogu watching and just being mystified by it. Like, it was fantastic. I had tears forming. This is just fantastic. This is like reading Legends books and extended canon and getting to like experience that realm of Luke being in that more of a master position. And now him training an apprentice, a Padawan, is just absolutely incredible to visually see and soak in. And I have a very strong weakness in Star Wars. It emotionally compromises me every time they throw Order 66 at me. And holy fuck, I was not expecting it when Luke's like, here, let's go back. And I see these 3 fucking Jedi against the 501st Legion going to town, and tears. Oh no! And the fucking clones just going in, just popping on these Jedi. I was like, oh no, like crying and like happy, like, oh, this is a weird combo.
It's a cry.
I couldn't nightmares in her house.
Oh, she's wondering what's going on.
Well, that's it. It happens multiple times. That's why I like. To me, it feels like Luke Returned the Jedi, because like Luke's a dick in this episode, where it's like, oh, let me. You want to remember the good times? Let me show you where you came from. Oh, here's a bunch of your friends getting murdered, and we'll talk about the choice later. But yeah, I knew Taylor was gonna be all over. But that's why I felt like, again, that's where it's just like it brought in every era of Star Wars and making it all put together. Because like even them building those little huts, this future Jedi Council, I'm just like, I don't know if this is the exact same planet, but man, fucking Ben Sol's gonna fuck this all up one day, and like that's where it's just like you're seeing this like go forward, and that's a great thing where it's like, as someone that's not a huge prequel guy, this is the best part of like, okay, I know where Luke ends up, but the thing is, there's like 30 years of so much stuff I don't know, but I don't know where Mando ends up, I don't know where Grogu ends up, I don't know all this stuff, so that's where it's like, yeah, it's still a prequel, and there's some things we know, but there's so much in the middle that they didn't do, and I'm very happy. Like, I would have read the comic books. There's a book coming out this fall with this year where it's Lando and Luke, and they're going going to old Jedi counts or old Jedi temples and everything. I'm gonna read that because I think every fan after Return of the Jedi ended thought, well, what happens to these people, you know? And we did get those answers, but how much answers still in the new trilogy? We go, they didn't give us enough of that. We didn't give us enough of that, you know, like. I saw the meme a couple days ago of Maz Kanata being like, "That's a story for another time," and it's like, "Oh, I still never got that story," you know. And this is the time though where, with that trilogy had so much to do with being a big billionaire, you know, big, you know, multi-million-dollar corporation budget stuff, and trying to hit a quota and doing these 3 movies and finishing the trilogy. Like with this show, I feel like they can really take their time, and I feel like, and this is to answer for Action Wolves questions, what do you think, also the big question, what do you guys think Grogu's decision will be? We talked about this, I think it was me and Taylor Newscast, after the Mando Season 2 finale. A couple weeks later, there was multiple people reporting that Disney was working on a Luke and Grogu series. I think it's the same way. Remember how during Mando Season 2 we heard, oh, they might be doing a Boba Fett show, and we're like, that's strange, they haven't even shown Boba Fett in the show, that's a real rush. They show Boba Fett in Mando Season 2, and then how does it end? Oh, end credit of, look, you're getting Boba Fett. I don't know if we're getting the end credit of that, but I could see the end credit of the finale next week of Grogu picking up that lightsaber, and then they say, coming, oh, I got goosebumps. I got fucking goosebumps. Coming 2023. Like Clay said, whether it's Tales of the Jedi or whatever it may be, the book of the, like, we are, the reason they set that you got to make a choice, the reason, again, they showed the flashback to Order 66, but they did not show who saved him in Mando Season 2, and this season they keep not showing, and no, I'm saying it's going to be a massive reveal, but they keep not showing us stuff for a reason.
Jocasta knew.
We're going to get a Luke and Grogu show, and I cannot fucking wait. This is everything I want right now, and I think this is 100%. Kirkland, do you think we're 100% getting this, or do you still have some doubt?
Yeah, I have some doubt. I don't think it's 100%.
Oh, man.
So, like, the show.
Remember this Dune, you know, all this stuff,
These fucking Jedi with their ultimatums, you know. Don't take the awesome mithril that your boy made for you, all custom made, because it's just a symbol. You gotta, like, just take the lightsaber and the armor. Like, come on.
No, but that's the good thing that's that's the good thing that's setting up in, like, whatever you want to feel about this. It's canon. In Last Jedi, Luke's whole thing is, oh, the Jedi should have died because we were doing it wrong. And I think now, obviously, he got trained by Yoda, but I think now we have to see the times where he is trying to be that, like, oh, exactly what the Jedi were, and he's gonna make those mistakes and realize, hopefully, if we get a fucking series with Rey, she'll do the opposite of, like, okay, this is everything Luke did and the Jedi did wrong, I gotta do a different way. So something like personal attachment, yeah, even though, because Luke is the biggest fucking, like, I would say hypocrite, no personal connection, you guarantee you he's fucking force calling Leia all the time, and like, so, like, that's where Luke is. But I think that's good because it's gonna set up his downfall. Like, it will have a nice, like rhythm to Last Jedi, you know?
Yeah, I also think just for the show, it could honestly fit for Grogu to just kind of lean the more Mando route, because I mean, he was introduced in Mando. He's been so attached with his other Mandalorian. I think it could work story wise. I think at the end of the day, he's probably gonna end up both. like if he goes lightsaber route, he's like, okay, here, I snuck this for you. He lets him keep the armor or something. I also just can't picture this Grogu using a lightsaber right now. I feel like it fits the character if he just doesn't take one and he just really focuses on his force powers. He doesn't have to use his lightsaber. Again, could be something that he gets down the road.
Yeah, I think that's more for when we got teen Grogu that's moving around more and stuff. Because yeah.
Shredded.
Like, I think Taylor has said this before, and I do agree. Especially now, I think there's a chance if they do a Finn series or a Rey series, you can easily introduce a Grogu that's Yoda's age, right? So I think, like, this lightsaber is more for not like the immediate future, but more for, like, hey, when you see him, you get this cool canon fact of, man, he has Yoda's lightsaber. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's awesome, you know? So I think this is more for, like, world building down the lines. When you, even if, let's say they jump, like, Mando, let's say season 3, like, jumps 10 years in the future, the next time he sees Grogu would be, like, grown up with that lightsaber. I don't think we'll see little Grogu trying his best to, you know, hit the training ball or whatever.
Yeah, they're just two awesome artifacts that I want to stick around. So I feel like the decision won't really matter at the end. I guess the more important answer is what he's going to do immediately, because down the line, he's still gonna be a Jedi. He's still gonna
Yes.
be at least somewhat tied to Mando, unless next season Mando or in this finale they have a really really just heartstring tearing scene that just really makes you ugly cry because they do something to just completely kill that relationship. But I don't know. I feel like that's not in the cards. But yeah.
Well, and to me, this is a fresh role says, why would Grogu choose the weapon over the arm that protects? Because to me, it's more simple as far as he's choosing a life. It's either you're gonna be,
A
you could be like,
virgin,
a,
just
yeah,
Jedi.
yeah, you could be like like semi-regular guy, whatever. But you could form this attachment with this father-like figure and go have a life with him, and it could be a good life. Or you could, fulfill your potential. And also, there's going to be parts of Grogu because he didn't get to see his whole life. He's probably still wondering what has happened to him, and Luke has those answers. And why I don't think he's going to just go back with Grogu or go back with Mando is because there's no way they introduce Luke in season 2 of Mando to take Grogu, and then in one season of Boba, oh yeah, that's over. They're setting this up for the long game. That's why I know Kirk says 100%. I'm like 110% where I think that this feels like exactly the setup that we got for Boba Fett last year with Mando. They're doing this again, but with Luke and Grogu. They're literally backdoor piloting shows now, and they did with Ahsoka too, right? Like where's Thrawn? So we've seen them already do this twice. They were doing it 3 times also with Cara Dune, remember? With the whole like, oh, you should come join us in the Republic one, like so they do this. This is their MCU as far as they introduce this concept. I think he'll pick the sword, and I do now really think that in Mando season 3 we might not see Grogu. I think Grogu and Mando will reunite, but it will be when Grogu's like older and he'll have memories of him, but it will be the time has grown because I feel like this was Mando also taking a step, realizing, okay, if he's gonna be a Jedi, I can't be around him anymore. Like this is not their way. The same way people respect his way as a Mando, he has to respect this way as a Jedi because he's like, oh, he's a foundling, and Ahsoka's kind of like, well, it looks like a Padawan to me, and that was the realization of right. He was with me, but like this was his culture, So
Yeah, the just quickly before Taylor goes, the line that really hit me and was preventing me from accepting that relationship between him and Mando are just possibly done was when Luke said like, what does he say? A long time for you could be a lifetime for someone else because he just ages so.
No, a
differently.
short time for you could be a
Yeah,
lifetime.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
So like just that line alone just really hit me, and it's like, man, it's entirely possible he doesn't see anyone from like Mando season 1, including Mando. Like he could just completely be on a whole nother adventure now that he's a Padawan becoming a Jedi, and yeah, it's just denial. It's mostly denial.
And my last point, throw it
emotion.
over to Taylor's because this is Fracture what brings up, but to me, this is the point of the flaws of the Jedi when he says, oh, I mean, Grogu could go and outlive Mando, so why not live with Mando till he dies and comes back to become Jedi? That's not how it fucking works with Jedi. They don't take a pass of like, oh, we'll see you in 10 years. Be back. They're fucking pricks about it. Hey, you want your dick sucked? No, you can't do that. You can't do that. No, like why not? Yeah. Like they have very strict rules. It's the same way already. Ahsoka has been like, I'm not going to train him because I think it's a bad idea. You see Luke already being like, should I train this guy? Jump back all the way to Anakin. Already because he was too old, they're like, we shouldn't train this fucking kid. So Grogu, they've already kind of both hinted that he's kind of in that range where I don't know if we should be training him. So add like 10 years to that. No, I think Luke and Jedi would turn him away if they are the strict one. And yeah, that's why it is flaws of Jedi. That's what makes the Jedi great because they're fun characters in that way. But it also makes me like completely, the Jedi are always wrong. Like Qui-Gon Jinn had it completely right. Qui-Gon Jinn also doomed the Jedi by bringing fucking Anakin Skywalker into the temple, being like, I'm gonna train this boy, and he fucking brainwashed Obi-Wan to poor dude. But Taylor Field to go Qui-Gon, he really fucked us all. Let's just get out there. He's a great Jedi, but he fucked us all. Taylor Field, what is your percentage that we are getting a Luke and Grogu show at any point?
I mean, the steps are all in place for it to happen. You hire the deepfake actors. You set up this arc here. That's, again, whatever they do with Mando season 3. If they pursue Grogu and beat Luke a little bit in that, sure, that's fine. But I feel like they took this opportunity to bring Mando back into the fold with Boba Fett, and then to highlight a little bit on what we're wanting to see with Luke and Grogu. So that dynamic there is just going to solidify the fact that, yes, I do think Grogu's going to take Yoda's lightsaber. He was the whole setup of this episode was him so much more intrigued by Luke training with a lightsaber. And when Luke presented the two things, sure, Grogu got excited about the chainmail, but as soon as Yoda's lightsaber is pulled out, Grogu was just infatuated with it. It was like, this is like so
It's destiny.
crazy.
You
It's
know?
destiny. It's
Yeah.
calling to him. So taking that into account, another thing you have to remember as well, when Mando showed up and we thought, oh, he's going to speak to Grogu, it's going to be great. That cements it for me that this is probably, for the time being, the last time when Grogu and Mando will see each other for a while, because he made that decision not to see Grogu, right?
Yeah.
And that was, again, Ahsoka helped with that and everything like that. But he realized, okay, he needs to be here. This is the right thing. So this was an episode that reaffirmed everything, that Grogu is growing in power as a Jedi, and he needs to continue his training and not conform to having these attachments necessarily, at least at this time in his life.
And that's the thing. I think you will 100% see Grogu and Mando together again at some point, but I think it will be the same way fucking in to Return the King, that, you know, Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli just happen to find Merry and Pippin at the same point, where it's like, oh, you guys were also here, like destroying the Tower of Isengard, you know. So like it'll be like that, where they are consigned together, and there'll be a great moment of Mando when you find, like, the same way we got that Cad Bane reveal, the same way we got the Luke reveal in this episode and stuff like that. You'll get a reveal of an older Grogu perhaps, or something like that, and that will be like that, oh my god, and he maybe will remember, maybe he won't. That's gonna be the best thing. And Fracture Wolf, again, I see you point out that, oh, Luke understands that in the EU, but that's the thing, we're not in the EU. They clearly established that Luke figured all this stuff out after Ben Solo and, you know, what's his name, fuck, I know it's Palpatine, but what the hell was it? Snoke. God, Snoke. But like after all that went down, that's when he figured it out. And that's the point of Luke Skywalker. The tragedy is he was too late when he figured out I was training these guys the wrong way, and that's why he was afraid to train Rey and told her to be different. So that's why when you're saying, oh, I hope they point that out, they may hint towards that, and he may start to pick up on that, but I don't think you get that full realization, because I know some people go, oh, they're going to make their own canon, their new canon. No, they're not. They're going to follow Dave and John. They're going to follow what happens in these movies, and they're going to build up to the same way, Taylor, with Clone Wars, that's what they tried to do. They made all those things try to, okay, this helps you with Anakin's turn. I think some things work, some things don't, but they tried to implement more things that even were more towards the twists and turns and Revenge of the Sith. So it's like, okay, you can see how we really got here. And I think that's what they'll do here, where Luke is not at any point going to be like, you know what, Grogu, I think you should find a little Grogu and go fuck her and have a good, like, no, he's going to have all, like, he's reading the sacred text, and he even says, like, that was a mistake, you know, like Yoda was just like, page turns or not. And he kind of, like, Yoda was kind of said, like, you weren't supposed to completely just take entirely from it. It was like kind of, you know, as Barbosa says, guidelines. So he realizes all of the stuff in Last Jedi. So I don't think it'll be that. I think it'll be more an event, and I can't wait for Grogu and Luke on adventures. We can bump into other Jedis that he's recruiting. Oh my goodness. I don't know if there's Force Ghosts. I can't wait. I can't wait for the show, man. When the show gets officially announced, that's my easily most anticipated Star Wars thing of quite a while.
Like you said there, like other Jedi, other characters, Force Ghosts and stuff, like I wasn't expecting the fact again of getting Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano.
Let's talk about that.
Like together. Like I was flabbergasted. Like, holy shit, you have Ahsoka, who was apprentice to Anakin Skywalker, now here mentoring Luke Skywalker. It was such a cool coming to full circle scenario, the whole dynamic of it. And she was just so humbled and calm. And I mean, you mentioned earlier, Travis, like Luke was just he gets those kind of doubts a little bit and kind of gets caught up in himself, which is great. It's just, it seems like classic
You're
Luke.
just like your father.
Yeah, like is that an insult? Like, strong
yeah,
lightsaber
I would be like,
honor?
I hope not. Fuck, like he killed a bunch of people. You know, like I know it's supposed to be like, oh, Anakin, but it's like, yeah, that didn't go well for all of us. You know, so. I think that's very interesting, because we talked about that with Ahsoka, right? And we said, okay, in this timeline, and this is where we talked about as far as just like, man, could these things ever happen? And I thought it might at some point, but I saw that there was a little part of me that went, okay, they could easily not have Luke and Ahsoka meet. They don't have to. Ahsoka's going to be doing her own thing. Luke, tons of things could happen, right? Ahsoka could die before they meet. And the fact that he's on this planet and he just turns into Ahsoka's there. It's like, man, they already established that they're here. Love the line. She says she's a friend of the family and stuff like that. And I will agree with Clay. So there's two things here, but this is where I'm withholding my judgment. I'm going to pull a Kirklin Dune review right now. I'm withholding my judgment because Clay said in the chat, I do agree, us not seeing the first interaction of Ahsoka and Luke could be a big mistake. But I think we have lots of rooms for flashbacks. And again, just like setting up the show, will I ever see you again? And she kind of says like, oh, maybe the force be with you, or time will tell. They're going to fucking see each other again. And you'll have deeper conversations there because this episode, it had them in it, but it was not about Luke and Ahsoka. They were the background to help Mando and help Grogu. Even Boba is more in the background. But I think when you get an Ahsoka show or a Luke show, you could easily have a flashback episode, or you can have them meet up at some point. And I think you would maybe even get a flashback of the time they did first meet, and then you could jump to present day, stuff like that. Luke may be in the BAFTA tank, and he might be having some visions and stuff. But I do think that's where I'm withholding judgment, that I do want to see them talk more about. Same thing when she said that line about my dad. I want him to be almost just more asking, like, what was he like? Because this is like, other than Obi-Wan, who was a fucking liar, no one interacted with his dad. Yoda and him barely really talked about that. So, like, no one that he knew around that time really knew Anakin Skywalker. So I think that is coming. But again, if at some reason we finish these series and that never happens, that would be a huge missed opportunity if we don't see the first interaction, them talk about Anakin, all this stuff. But it was a crazy moment. My mind could not process, like, man, Ahsoka and Luke already have met and know each other. This is nuts. And I do want to know that story. And I hope it's not like Maz Kanata, where a story for another time we never hear. I hope we do get it, and I think they will pay it off. Kirklin, where were you on the... Actually, you know what? After this next ad break, I want to know where you were on the Ahsoka and Luke of it all. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So I just thrown to Kirklin. So Kirklin, establish Ahsoka, Luke, they're friends, maybe besties. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I agreed with a lot of things that you said. I like as she was speaking, I think it was when Mando was talking to her and she was explaining why she wasn't wanting to train Grogu in the first place, and then it just hit me of like how old she actually is, and like she was an apprentice to Anakin, and like this is all canon now, and it's like, holy shit, this is actually quite the collision of like different worlds, just colliding here with the Luke dynamic, Anakin, Grogu, Mando, like all these things. So I definitely was thinking of that, like just in the moment, because I feel like when she appeared, even just last season of Mando, I never really thought the potential of having her in there. Even when Luke was revealed at the very end, I didn't really think about that until we get to this episode, and yeah, it definitely hit me pretty hard. It, again, with a lot of these now canon characters just making an appearance, it's like, fuck, I got to start watching Clone Wars, I guess.
Got homework. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do some homework. So yeah, it's one of those things that was crazy for me, and I don't even have that much attachment to the characters. So I can only imagine it's multiplied for the folks like you guys that have actually seen Clone Wars and stuff. And yeah.
What do you think about the stuff of, more content with them or flashbacks of them meeting? Do you think that's something we'll ever actually get to see? Or do you think it's like, okay, they know each other and that's just answered and roll with it?
I 100% agree with what you said, that if they don't tackle that is a huge missed opportunity. There's so much juicy storytelling potential there. So yeah, if they don't do that, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot, because they've already done a really clean introduction of the two sources, whether with like Ahsoka and Luke now, and we've seen them interact, so there's no reason why that can't happen more so yeah, they definitely need to milk that cow, because that's such great content right there, just having everything that you laid out. Like, no one's really known Anakin, so like just having the dialogue there, that's just phenomenal. You can peel back that onion, and yeah, a lot of great potential there.
And I guess people can hit me up too and be like, well, he can always talk to Obi-Wan Force Ghost. And yeah, that's true. But I just mean, like, as far as
They're
a
hard to
physical...
reach. Come on.
Yeah, they're hard to reach. And again, Obi-Wan could be lying.
connection.
From a certain point of view, man, he's getting nice.
In the Force Ghost realm, he's just totally being that little weasel.
Oh, yeah. He's like, Luke, am I the one that kissed my sister? And, like, all this shit. And he's like, fuck off, Obi-Wan. Like, and Yoda's just, like, not popping up to Last Jedi. He's like, I'm out. I'm resting. You gave my lightsaber to who? No. But, Taylor, what do you think about the future of Luke and Ahsoka? Where would we see it? Do you think it would be in Ahsoka's show and Luke's show? And then same thing as I asked Kirklin, do you think we will get some flashbacks or something to allude to the first time they did meet? Because we don't even know. In Mando season 2, they could have already known each other at this point, right? Now that there was no first meeting for us, how do you think that gets tackled? Or like I said, they just ignore
they
it?
could have met each other like Return of the Jedi period. Even I mean, who knows? Maybe
Yeah, I feel like
they
it's
could have reached out,
after.
and Ahsoka could have been like, "Hey, like I made my
No.
choice. I can't train you. You have to do this on your own. I can't face the Emperor," kind of thing. Like,
You don't think I see this where I disagree. I feel like she would have came back to help out with Vader possibly if she's like, hey, like I got away, you know, like I'm hoping in my head canon that they met after Return of the Jedi, that she heard stories of a Luke Skywalker taking down Darth Vader, and she kind of goes, that's peculiar.
that's more logical, probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, like she would have heard it in the rebellion because she was a part of one of the rebellion sectors. When you look at like, you know, Phoenix Squadron and all that,
Yeah.
like she would have hear tell of a Skywalker, a new Jedi that's joined the rebellion and fighting. So regardless of whenever she were to meet him, maybe it was after the fact, like, okay, I'm going to make some time to see him because he's conquered the Empire. But then there's the fact that, okay, well, maybe she didn't have the time really because she's going out to find Thrawn and all them. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what we really get. And to have them meet for the first time, it's not something I'm necessarily like, I'd be happy to see it, but I don't think it's a takeaway by any means for me. Just the fact that, okay, we got to see them together and there was some fun dialogue and they're aware of each other. They both exist together in the same universe and they convened with each other, and I'm just happy we got that. That's satisfied me.
Are you prepared for them to fuck, Taylor?
I mean, as long as they don't throw an Order 66 flashback in there. Fuck. Ahsoka fighting the clones live action.
Yeah,
oh my god.
No, I don't think that's happening. But I will say that we will talk about this because there's something on delay. There's a comment coming in. I just got a good chuckle. This one, great episode. Sucks that club got bombed.
Oh yeah.
yeah, it does.
I thought it was money. I really did. I thought they were being paid to just kind of keep their noses down.
Taylor would be in that club. Money. He's gone. He's not.
I'm the droid.
So Taylor, does it like juice your gears at all the fact that at any point, whether it's Luke's show or Ahsoka's show, that Luke could ask and be like, hey, what's your like adventure you're on? Like, what are you looking for? And the fact that Luke could hear the words Thrawn. And I think we've both kind of speculated, but I've speculated for a while that they may try and adapt some of those EU books of like, what is it, Heir to the Empire and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And like, not a complete rip, but we've seen that with Cam before. And the fact that they already know each other, and if we've talked about this before, where there's been these are minor rumors, but it's minor rumors that they might do like a big crossover event, or they might do like a movie or something. You could easily have Ahsoka come to Luke and, hey, I need your help. And maybe that's the first time you see Grogu with a lightsaber. Like, there's a chance you could have Luke Skywalker help and take down Thrawn. We are living in that universe right now, you know?
It's coming so close to the point where you're right. You could get like a Defenders team up scenario or something along those lines where, yeah, these characters in different shows align to fight this threat, which is Grand Admiral Thrawn. We don't know what he's been doing in the Outer Rim, what he's been planning, but the thing that we do know is that, okay, the Empire has been experimenting with cloning. We see that, okay, represented with Snoke or whatever when they were doing Palpatine stuff in Rise of Skywalker. That was one of the things they were building up towards, but then again, we know in the extended universe that there's like a clone Luke. There's, you know.
Oh, let's not get Luke. Like, I don't think they're gonna go that far. But
no. I'm not saying they will. But I mean, when you look at all the steps that they have, like they brought the planet Wayland into the end of the Bad Batch season 1. That is a huge thing pulled from the Heir to the Empire trilogy. We're getting again more Luke brought in here, not only to train Grogu, but whatever aspect they want to dive into, whether it's clone
fucking
Luke, who
Ahsoka.
knows. If yeah, there you go. I would be like super jazzed if Thrawn comes back and he's like, "Hey, I got a heavyweight champion here to fight up against the Jedi. It's Master Kaboth, who is like a cloned like fucking lunatic Jedi that's been in isolation for so long." Like, and then you have the whole context. Okay, Thrawn found a cloning facility, and he's gonna. What if he could start whipping up like a new clone army to go to bat with against the New Republic? There's such an awesome dynamic here, and he's such a force to be reckoned with. And then you got Ezra that could come back into the mix. Like, there's so many cool aspects. Like, again, the Nogri, I would love to see them make an appearance in live action. That'd be super cool. Oh, there's just so many factors that I want to see.
Now, and what also is interesting with this, I don't think it will happen. And plus, again, with the Jedi training, you have, at any point if they do a show, you have the Ben Solo of it all. I don't know if they'll go that far, but, you know, I'm fucking hoping. The day Luke gets a message that his sister had a son, oh my god, you're gonna see this dude doing backflips over there. I'm gonna be screaming Icarus. But like, so my thing is, because they said they wouldn't do this with Rise of Skywalker, and I always wonder, like, so with Han and Leia, are they just gonna be completely out of this, or do you like? Okay, I'll tell you this much: Harrison Ford is not coming back to put a bunch of fucking dots on his face to play young Han Solo. So either they do two things: they get all of them back, but I don't think they do that because that would be that would break my brain in not a good way if they were to have Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo interacting with Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. It just doesn't go together. That just doesn't jive with me. I don't want that. So I feel like they're either going to ignore him or we're going to get actors that are going to get de-aged or, deep fake. That does make me wonder about Leia because they said they wouldn't do that Rise of Skywalker. But the same thing is like, okay, let's say they announce this show, right? They do Luke and Grogu, and let's say they do season 1, they announce season 2. If Mark Hamill passes away, is that the end of the show, or do they say, oh, we still have this, like, an actor? Because they have another younger actor on set that does portray Luke Skywalker as well. Do they keep doing it? That's what I'm very interested to see in the future. And with Leia, we'll kind of get our answer. Because even then, they like, oh, we're not going to digitally do anything with Leia. But they did when they showed the Luke and Leia training scene. Like they said they weren't going to do anything, but they did. That wasn't Carrie Fisher. I know it's her daughter, so it makes it better. And maybe they will do that. Maybe they'll get her daughter again, and that's as long as the family's
granddaughter,
fine.
right? It was granddaughter.
No, it was her daughter.
It was her daughter?
Billy Lord. Yeah, Billy Lord's her daughter.
Oh.
Yeah. So like, as long as the family's all right with everything, I'm fine with it. But it does make me interested to see like, those two land, like who pops up, because it is like, Kirklin, would you be fine if you had an Alden Ehrenreich Han Solo with Mark Hamill's Luke, or do you think that's like a little too weird?
I think that's dipping your toes in when you got to just jump in and make a full-on decision, like have Aldrich Ehrenreich. How do you say his name?
Cobb Vance.
Cobb Vance. Yeah. So
Cobb
him,
Vance.
And like with Sebastian Stan, I'm always gonna pitch, but just like an actor as opposed to like the CGI route. I think when you're mixing it up, it's just not a great decision in my opinion. But I'm also in the camp where I think that they should have went with like a full-on actor for Luke. So it's tricky. I think since they're going this route, God, I'm just picturing now just like a really bad deep. Not necessarily really bad, just a deep fake on like Harrison Ford, just him interacting with Luke, and they just don't say like any lines.
Well, and here's the thing, like, and people may hate it, but if you think about, everyone's biggest complaint is, man, we never got the original 3 back together. Now you will never get that because they didn't have Leia around. So no matter what, if they get Billy Lord and other actors, it's never the same. But on Disney Plus, there is a way for them to do that. There is a way to show them in, let's say, 15 years after Return of the Jedi, have Luke, Leia, and Han all together. They can do that if they want to. And I always thought, which is what I'm so surprised about, I always thought we would get this stuff, but I thought this would be animated because I thought, oh, that's the way they do it. They do an animated show. That's kind of, you get someone to do the voice. It's not really different. But now with deep fake and de-aging, stuff like that, you have Mark Hamill, which, yeah, of course, there's some uncanny valley, but for the most part, now that they've done this again, they've definitely shown, okay, we're doing this, Luke. We're not getting an actor. We're sticking with this. They're working on improving it, right? So the fact that you have this, I just feel like it's one of those things. It's Pandora's box. It's opened now, and it's one of these things like, what do you do? And it's going to be interesting to see going forward. Factual says, let's throw in some Mace Windu, though. I'm always down for a prequel. I do not need him to come back. I know tons of people want Mace to come back. I just do want some characters to stay dead in the original trilogy or prequels. I just don't need them to come back other than Kylo Ren. Let's leave some of these people, let's not change every fucking thing George did just so we can get more content for Disney Plus. Like, there's tons of things you can do, but, anything else on Luke, Grogu, Ahsoka? Ahsoka, she's off on her mission there, so she's going to split off, and we'll hopefully see her in the Luke show and everything like that. Anything else on this trio here?
Nope.
I had something on Luke.
Fanboy Clay was asked this. Okay, maybe, I'm not sure if he asked it before or after I said that. What if the Luke and Grogu show's animated? It could, but I don't think so. I think because I don't think they would have even done this episode. I think, unfortunately, it sounds bad, But if you look at the What If numbers, the Bad Batch numbers, they know the money is in live action, and that will. I'm not saying you can never get something anime with Grogu. I think just like Groot, that sets us up perfectly. But if you want the money, you want the streaming, you want the trending. You're doing it live action. Again, to me, this was them doubling down of, hey, we're gonna keep doing this. We're just gonna try and make Luke look better. That's what I think they were really saying. And again, I think you will get a big crossover. You will get a Luke Grogu show. You'll get Grogu when he's older. You'll get Luke again doing stuff. We might see Luke actually in another, like we got in Mando season 2, but him fighting, things with that green lightsaber. So I don't think this one would be animated. No, I think they'll go full live action.
I definitely agree.
I definitely agree as well.
You mentioned now, what do you do if Mark Hamill passes away? How do you keep going on with that? I think when you're dealing with a trilogy and all of a sudden out of the blue, Fractured World Prince Zor, I can never say the name right. That would be interesting. That would be a cool aspect to get in there. But I don't know if they would tackle that necessarily just yet. But so when you have Mark Hamill and you have all these characters now, with Carrie Fisher passing away, you're dealing with the whole dynamic of it's sudden, it's unexpected, and obviously, I hate to say this, but if a company trying to make money and everything like that, they didn't have time to properly get contracts and everything like that. Like, I mean, if someone passes and they signed on for 3 movies, what do you do? I mean, there's nothing you can do with that. So obviously, they probably came to some sort of arrangement. Now, if this person died a long time ago, like Grand Moff Tarkin, I mean, the actor, not the character, you can just dive at it, right? Because obviously, there were no proper rights that this character set for themselves to be represented on screen ever again. Now, when you look at this context, I'm sure Disney is now well off where, okay, we've lost significant prominent actors like our Carrie Fisher, our Chadwick Boseman. So now they're probably looking at it like, hey, what can we do for the long term now? And at the same time, what kind of contracts can we set up? Like, hey, if you pass, what, can we keep using you? Can we divert that payment to your family? All these different contingencies. There's no doubt in my mind Disney's looking at that because it's something very real, and especially now you're not limited to having these real life actors be necessarily employed. You can slap anyone into there and just put the deep fake on you. So they need to set up this kind of, well, they've already got it set up, I'm sure. So when Mark Hamill passes, and the time will come, as sad as it may be, unfortunately, they will be able to carry on and just keep putting Luke Skywalker out there.
No, you're 100% right, because the fact that these things change the same way now that deals are changing with streaming movies and stuff like that, like after we saw having Black Widow, you're 100% right. I didn't even think about that they will have, these will be in contracts of, would you allow us to use your likeness after you've passed? And I honestly think Mark Hamill would say yes. I think Mark Hamill loves Star Wars enough. Like, he was down for Sebastian Stan being recasted, so I don't think he'd say like, no, as long as there's some sort of good story and stuff like that. I do want to shout out, though, that I was looking into it, that Prince Zeiser, however you say it, apparently is back in canon for Star Wars. He's apparently in the Kira book, or the Kira comic book. They just introduced him. Yeah. So there you go. I haven't either, so that's cool. Fanboy says, I'm curious what Ham said. Boba Fett's in front of Ahsoka. She has a history with him. That would be an interesting conversation. Same thing they haven't said in front of Luke yet, right? Either. So I think they're just ignoring that for now. Maybe they can have some sort of meeting or tension down the line. But I think, again, because that's not their show, it's not them being the big issue. But
it's. I guess we did see the Black Sun. I often forget about them because they're associated, obviously, with Prince Ezor. And the Black Sun is one of those syndicates that Maul took over in that Shadow Collective. So it's a good call out, Fractured Wolf.
And that would be kind of, well, I guess I'm not sure what the Kira comment is taking place. That would be kind of a few years. That could be here, though, right? Your Prince Ezor could be popping around, right? Easily. So there you go. I'm trying. Let me look at my notes because I had some notes here for the episode. I love, because at first I thought he was jumping. Man, I love when they were walking and Luke was moving Grogu with the Force.
Adorable.
Oh my God, that was fantastic. That's a good stuff there. Let's see. Grogu's blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we talked about Grogu being on his back. He saw Mando fly away, which was nice. I honestly, I think we covered everything I thought of. Yeah, but anyways, I guess the only thing was when he at one point he gave him like the training ball and Grogu was throwing around and Luke said like, no, that's not how he works, and he like laughed a little. that for me felt exactly like Luke Skywalker. It's like, oh my god, like this. I just had like an hour body experience of just seeing stuff I never thought I would see again, you know? So yeah, all my notes we've actually talked about at one point or another. So I guess the only thing we didn't say is that they were setting up a council meeting. Boba Fett, they're getting ready for war. Boba Fett is very much not on this episode again. I think that's a conversation that maybe we'll have on. I think we'll maybe say that for after 9 once the show's done, but it is interesting that the 2 episodes that everyone loves the most really has nothing to do with Boba Fett. I know today this would pain you to say, but like when I finish the show, I will probably not watch those Boba Fett episodes again, but I will watch these 3 again for sure and just skip and be like, boom, this is Mando 2.5.
It does pain me because I did a whole rewatch, and again, the whole arc of him just being like redeemed and coming back, working with the Tuscans, it just hit heavier and heavier on that second watch through. Like going back now, when we get that finale, when we go at this, I feel like I could watch it in 2 parts. If I want to get like this whole origin story here and just this change and just the adaptation of Boba Fett, I could watch those first 4 episodes, and then if I want to get more into the whole Star Wars verse, watch 5 to 7 and just invest in this arc because it's expedited, it's escalated. So I'm just super, super jazzed. Yoda's lightsaber is retconned.
So this is what I will say for actual, because he says this whole story that was a recent comet where Maz and Mito destroyed in the comet, so either it survived the fire or the comet got retconned. The comet got retconned because they don't give a shit about that type of canon. They have me and Tay have argued about this many times. There's the Last Jedi book, the Rey and Force Awakens, Rey and Poe meet and they have a conversation. They say, "Oh, this book is canon." But in Last Jedi, they meet for the very first time. They're like, "Oh, I'm Rey. I know who you are. I've heard lots about you." So the books, the comic books, they don't give a shit. They will uncanon those as quickly as can be, because at the end of the day, people don't want to hear this. The movies and TV shows, the things that are like making the billions, millions of dollars, they'll retcon that. And we've had that multiple times. Didn't we have that with Kanan's origin too, where they changed some things? Like there's multiple things that they will change from the books and comics because we want to tell the story. And that's why I think they should never have done that, but whatever.
So,
and it was interesting to. It's good because people will bring it. I'll see Twitter threads all over, and I didn't know about Yoda's lightsaber. I had no idea. To me, it just made sense. Like, oh, of course Luke would have it. Like Yoda just disappeared, and probably his lightsaber was still hanging out. So Luke's just like fucking. It's just yoinked. I'm gonna sell this on the black market.
So. Like looking at it,
Taylor's gonna foolishly try to defend canon.
I am gonna defend it now. Obviously, Yoda lost his lightsaber when he was fighting Sidious, so it makes sense that Grand Vizier Maz Amida had a collection, as I'm reading here, of lightsabers from fallen Jedi, and they burned them, destroyed them. That's fair. Yoda wasn't dead at that time. He easily could have made a new lightsaber. I feel like that's just kind of a Jedi trope.
No.
So why wouldn't he if he had the
because
time on
he's
his
doing
hands?
shit all at Dagobah. He's not gonna find a kyber crystal
Can
there.
you prove it? There's a
Oh
personal
yeah, I
perspective.
talked to him. Yeah, 100%. He's like, fuck no, I just texted him. I didn't make that.
I think Jedi, they have that attachment to a lightsaber. It's their other half, right? And I just feel like, he easily could have. Looking at an image of his lightsaber from Revenge of the Sith, and then looking at the lightsaber from what Luke is holding, it looks different. It actually looks very different. The tip of the hilt where it shoots the blade out, it just looks very different.
For actual says also doesn't it take away from teaching Grogu to make his own? Kind of. To be
but
a
it's
Jedi,
a
it's supposed to be your
callback,
last
though,
step,
right? It's a callback to Luke using Anakin's lightsaber, and even Rey using Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah,
so it's just the starting point.
But Rey and Luke did end up making their own lightsaber, so at some point,
and I
Grogu
think
should make
Grogu
his.
will for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where I hold on to the fact, like, hey, when we get that poster, he's making his yellow gold lightsaber. Let's
They just
see
can't let Rey have anything. They're like, oh, Grogu's getting this. Oh, in the comic books, Luke Skywalker had a yellow lightsaber.
I thought you wanted to see
before.
a whole bunch of variety of new lightsaber
I do, but it's just so funny. We wanted yellow for so long, and they finally do it for Rey. And then after they do it for Rey, they're like, oh, did you know Luke had it once in in the comic books, he had a yellow lightsaber for a while.
Thank you, Clay.
What is he saying they are different?
The lightsabers.
What's different?
Yoda's lightsaber. It's a different lightsaber.
So
I hope. I'm just assuming, actually.
Yeah, but Clay also thinks murder and manslaughter are the same thing, and he also thinks laws are opinions. So let's get that coming out of there. We don't know how that goes. So, yeah, no, I just think that, for me, I wanted them, once we got yellow, it's going to be really Rey's lightsaber, and then now they've kind of used it a bit more. I'm like, why do you guys hold on to it if it wasn't going to be special? But yeah, maybe she will, have it, so... Luke had the original yellow saber. Yeah, but didn't they put that in canon after Rey had it in the movies, because that was the whole thing. Everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, there's a combo. Like, Rey gets it in Rise of Skywalker, right? And then there's a couple weeks later, months later, like Luke with the yellow lightsaber. It's like, oh, this is lame. Like, they just can't let her have anything, you know? So give me the timeline, but that's what I remember it being. Not that anyone has been giving my my boy enough attention. Cat Bane's hat is different as well. The hat can change. The hat, he can get a new hat at any point. That's fine. It's just a hat, you know? So anything else we want to bring up here?
The Naboo fighter is just looking absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm really loving that design. So yeah, it was good to get more looks of that today.
Clay says, no, they had the toy, had a yellow lightsaber before the movie came out. I'm going to need a timestamp on that, Clay, in the Discord so you know what to do. And yeah, you're right. Bastila had it, but she got uncannoned, right? That was no longer a thing. Bastila didn't exist anymore. So yeah, unfortunately. So
Fractured Wolf. Look at Cad Bane's hat in the Bad Batch.
We're
Like,
getting
I'm not
really
even
nerdy.
kidding. It's honestly, it's like, it's the same hat. It's refined a little bit more for live action, but it's literally exact same pattern on the front, same band going around.
Yep, there you go. So it's same hat that you got it here first. Taylor, anything else you want to shout out?
Yeah, Fractured Wolf, again, you're right. Like, he's definitely changed his hat before. It's he goes through that process.
It's just a hat, you two. It's
This
a
is
hat.
serious.
I think the lightsaber makes sense. That's the vital thing. His hat.
Talk
he
about
gets
his
bigger-
boots too, you know.
Yeah. His jock piece or whatever.
I don't have much to add. I can reiterate again, like, he's just, to get all these characters, to get all these cameos, this felt like Star Wars. This is just amazing, and I'm just so jazzed on what we're going to see in that finale. I feel like we could, at this point, they might not even show, they may give us a snippet of Grogu and Luke, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get like a follow-up. I feel like they could save it at this point, and we just, next time we see him, it's like, hey, Luke and Grogu show, like, or something like that. I guess they got to show the reveal, so we'll probably see a split scene, but I don't think it'd be for long that we're going to see Luke and Grogu in the finale, because it's going to focus, again, we're getting back into the Boba Fett. We're getting back into this battle, and we got to see what's going on with the syndicates. War's broken out. They just killed, what is her name? The actress I saw in the chat here, who runs the club.
Oh, Ray's great, Fractured Wolf. Get out of here. You know, she's fantastic. And Clay, you're
Jennifer
going to have to
Beal.
really hit me up, because apparently when I'm reading on Wikipedia, Luke's yellow lightsaber first appeared in the 6-issue comic book series of Star Wars written by Charles Soule that came out in September 16, 2020. Taylor, when did Rise of Skywalker come out?
2019, didn't it?
Boom,
me
motherfucker.
confirm
Boom. The
2019.
1970s toy does not count, Clay. That is not canon anymore. That stuff is gone. I'm talking about the Disney era. You know, I'm talking about Cat Bane's new hat, all that good stuff.
He dropped a Snell in this last comment too. Like, he's in go mode.
No, that's
Snell,
okay.
Luke
That's
had the
okay.
original
I've seen his
lightsaber.
trial skills. It wouldn't go well. So another loss for Clay, but that's okay. And Rey is great. You know, she's gonna have that Kylo Ren baby one day. We're gonna get that series. It's gonna be the belly. Ben Solo come back to life. All this good stuff. Kirklin, anything you gotta say? To end off.
No more hat talk. No more.
100%.
No more boot talk. Get me out of here.
You gonna watch Clone Wars tonight? Binge it.
Not tonight, but
And not
possibly in the
tonight.
near
Not gonna
future.
start at
Possibly
2
this year.
a.m., you
We'll-
know.
we'll say that.
Yeah. So, yeah, same thing. I absolutely love this. This was a great night to be a Star Wars fan. Also, you can tell I think our reviews are usually like 40 minutes, and so we went almost an hour and a half here. This was a phenomenal night. This is one I'm going to remember for the books, and yeah, this is just. Oh man, I can't wait to see what is next. I can't wait to see what spins up. And now we got the finale. I'm luckily can say that I am excited for the finale. I don't think the finale is going to be as hype as these last two episodes, because it had a great Mandalorian episode and then a great kind of fan service bringing it all together episode. I think this will close Boba's story, but I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. I think we will talk on After 9 about what does this show like, because wait guys, no, we're in it right now. Fractual, we'll wait, I'll do a little point here, but I think that it's interesting. It's definitely, to me, feels like two different shows, and I feel that I will have a better outlook of the show when it's over, but not because Boba Fett. And I think kind of like Tara's saying, I feel like they're pitting fans against each other in a way. So I think they changed what side Cat Bane's plate is on. All right, we're getting the fuck out of here, Fracture Wolf. So I could be wrong, but if this concept art is right, he's popping off. We could continue this conversation the next time we see Cat Bane, which hopefully is next week, maybe sooner. Fracture Wolf, we love you. Everybody in the chat, thank you for joining. This was a fun night, and we promise when you hear from us next, it'll not be boring. Everyone, honestly, go look at his hat. Go look at the concept art.
Christ.
May the force be with you.
Always.